My name is Paula Hines Lonergan, and it's time's up for me to be silent. In the book, The Courage to Heal, the preface mentions how the publishers actually interviewed up to 250 women who had experienced abuse, sexual abuse as children. And it's interesting, in many of the experiences that I read, some of the women say that as they were growing up, when they were children, that at one point they may have been a child that was getting straight A's in school. And then all of a sudden, their grades start to drop or they start to fail in school. Some of the women mentioned how they were really happy and outgoing as children. And then they became withdrawn and started to isolate. There were changes in the actions and attitude and demeanor of these women because at the point that they were experiencing sexual abuse, it affected them, of course, in a negative way. It happens. Perpetrators, abusers are and can be very sneaky, manipulative. They groom the victims and take advantage of their innocence. It's interesting in my life, in my case, after I spoke to my parents about the abuse that I experienced as a child, after remaining silent for 43 years about it, I felt motivated also to talk to my family. And it's interesting, I talked to one of my uncles and I gave him the whole story, the things that I had experienced at the hands of another uncle. And it's interesting, he said to me at one point, he says, "Oh, now I understand. That explains it." So I asked him what he was referring to. He says he remembers as a child, there was something wrong, I guess, or peculiar about me. And apparently, him and his mother, my grandmother, would discuss me and express concern. However, my grandmother and my uncle assumed it was my mother's newfound religion, and that my mother exposing me to that newfound religion was what was causing me to be peculiar or changed in some way. My uncle never told me, he wouldn't go into specifics, what I was like as a child. Apparently, I must have been one way, and then I changed. I didn't push my uncle for details, but knowing that, and now in my telling you, as adults, as teachers, as parents, if there are changes that you observe in your child, unusual, negative actions, attitudes, demeanor, then you need to keep your eyes open. If you keep your eyes open, if you keep your minds open, then you're able to protect children. Then you're able to end, put a halt, intervene when it comes to childhood sexual abuse. Awareness, alertness, being in tune to your child, as well as to the world around us. Unfortunately, child abuse is prevalent, probably even more so than it ever has been, because in this world that we live in now, people have access to pornography with the touch of a button. And that, no doubt, can influence people's thinking, even towards children. Time's up for silence. It's time for awareness, alertness, and doing our best to protect our children.